What's going on today, guys? Primal Sabbath here, and today, courtesy of my good buddy Brett, also known as Megamus, also known as Megatoyfan. If you've ever been to any Transformers convention ever, you should know him. Angry Leprechaun. But anyways, because of him, I'm able to take a look at the Mastermind Creations R-41 Ultio, which is basically their rendition of IDW Senator Ratbat. This is a remold of the Aero Alpha and slash Stray, their wing and their drift, but it's more or less a remold of wing, obviously. And you can see here, here's the box. Nothing special about it, just standard reformatted packaging, which, I mean, it's nice, but it's nothing out of the ordinary. And here's the bio card. So some sweet artwork, and well, it's not really a bio card, more or less it's just tech specs, but there's that. The instructions did not feature a comic, which is kind of unfortunate, but you know, that's just that's the world of these MMC exclusives nowadays. So anyways, here it is in this kind of like spaceship mode. I do have some comparisons for this video, none of which are in alt mode. But if you want to, you got some landing gear. You can fold all of that up. And if you want to, you can extend these wings, I guess, for a flight mode. If you want to put them on a flight stand, you could do that. As far as plugging one in, I guess you could probably, if you find a flight stand that has, maybe that's the adapter. That would probably be the adapter. If I had to guess, that would be the hole. But I do know that it's, like I said, it's a repaint of and a remold of the Aero Alpha, which came with some swords. I don't know what the deal is. As far as how much is remolded, I do know the wings are remolded, but this all looks pretty similar, just the core of it, which makes sense. So I'm going to go ahead and do transformation, which isn't something I normally do. I know that's definitely something that Brett requested that I would do, because he couldn't really figure it out, and I guess it was too different from the Aero Alphas out there. So again, big shout out to Brett, to Megamus, to Megatoyfan. Thanks for sending this to me so I can take a look at it. So we're going to start by lifting these up. And let's see, instructions, I believe, yeah, the instructions want you to kind of do all that, and then from that you can pull this kind of clear cockpit piece up. I think I'm just looking for an excuse to say cock, but and then from there, let's see, come back here and just kind of, these are what's going to become the toes. Just go ahead and unfold those. You can see there's little tab pieces and little slot pieces in there, and then from here you'll want to work this piece out. It's on a hinge assembly. So again, just do that right there. Get it all out of the way. And then this, which you can see I kind of unclipped it. It's held in. It's very much on a kind of clip tab system. So, you know, when you're going back, obviously make sure to line that up. And if you're looking to see which side is the top and which side is the bottom, you can always look underneath it, because you'll see this is indeed the bottom side. So apply your up and your down pressures accordingly. Let's get back down here. And then you'll fold these pieces out ever so slightly, and then you can kind of sort of get these out of the way. Fold that up. Again, if you need to, fold that all the way up to get it out of the way. And then bring this around, and then just sort of do this for the time being, because they're also plugged in right here. So just sort of pull what will obviously be the legs forward a little bit, and it kind of untabs them. You can see those slots right there on each leg. Then fold this kind of flat. Again, fold that kind of flat, so that way you can rotate this around. And then just bring the lower leg in. It'll kind of soft tab into there. This side, not so much. It's not a great hole. I mean, it works enough, but it's not going to clip as firmly as this side does. So from here, fold the feet out, fold the toe out, and then rotate the heel down. So you fold the toe out, fold the foot out, rotate the heel down, and then you can see there's this kind of like hinge in here, I go ahead and bring that up because I think it's left back like that for alt mode. But I mean, it gives you some articulation options. So anyways, you saw I folded these panels in and then I just kind of like cleaned these up against the back. So here is where the instructions aren't super clear, but you'll want to get in here and lift up on this, and this will kind of accordion downwards just enough. And if you want to, you can kind of start getting these pieces in here loose. They'll just sort of wiggle out and up. And then, let's see, these are kind of sort of not quite tabbed in, but they do move around. And then I like to kind of fold them perpendicular to the legs. If you want to, you can rotate these top pieces like this up, just gets everything out of the way, and then rotate the torso around, and I just kind of leave that and close that back up, and then just sort of position these along the hips like that. So from here, you can unfold this piece, pull this chest piece down. Well, first, go ahead and fold the arms out, rotate them around, and you'll close these up. They don't lock in, but they're secure. And then again, fold the arms out, rotate them, and then close that. And then this will fully accordion backwards, because so like in vehicle mode, it was forward like that. For robot mode, it's gonna rest along the back here, and it'll tab in just like that. There's two little tabs. I think that already connected that one. So anyways, now that this is rotated around, you can take that, and well, before you plug it in, you're going to want to pull these pieces out. And again, you can rotate these up just to get them out of the way. So they're going to form little hugs, little hugging arms. And then, again, just get stuff out of the way as you need to. And then these pieces will close around. Again, make sure you get all this out of the way. There we go. And they'll kind of close around and more or less lock around the sides here. And then, in turn, that little peg went into that little slot in his back. And then you can peg the chest closed. And you're pretty much there. Straighten up the hand, and again, remember the orientation. I always stress to remember the orientation of the hand, because more often than not, it's kind of a necessity to get back properly into alt mode, especially with some of these MMC toys. But let's get these fingers folded out, and then here you can rotate this in. I think that's how that goes. And then fold this landing gear back down and out, and then fold this down. And this landing gear will kind of sandwich this wing piece in like that. And do it over here. So again, fold the landing gear out, fold the wing down, and you use that landing gear to kind of sort of sandwich it. And I say that because one of these wings isn't super tight. I don't know if it's just, from all the times the mold has been used, or if it's just this one particular copy. I don't know. It's not a detriment to it, but yeah. So straighten them up, and there's Senator Ratbat in his robot mode, and it looks really good. Now I don't have the Takara Tomy Generations Ratbat for comparison. This is the wing. It's a little loose, but with that landing gear, it kind of sandwich it. I don't have the Takara Tomy Generations Ratbat for comparison, but I do have something else. But before we get on to that, let's get into some weapons. Again, this one kind of slid out pretty easily, but once it's in there, it's in there. You don't have to worry about it falling out on its own. Just know that it does come out pretty easy. And then you can have him hold them as like little swords, which I think is pretty neat. But what's also pretty neat is these landing gear here. And come down a little bit, kind of, and then like grab it, back here close to the point of, turning, and just wiggle it out like this, and then it'll finally come out. You don't want to put any pressure close to the tip, obviously, just because it's going to risk breakage. Now I say that to say, like, you probably don't need you probably don't need to worry because MMC is usually pretty good, especially with the reformatted line, about their plastic quality. But again, grab here, and then kind of rotate, and then do the spin and dance, because the way these are pegged in, I mean, it's a super tight clearance from the hole and the peg. So you do that, plug that wing back in. Now, something that I thought would have been way cool is if they figured out a way to maybe mount these on the sides of the arm, plug them in on the back perhaps, but unfortunately it's just a plug them into the hand sort of situation, which if you want that look doesn't look terrible. But me personally, I don't particularly care for it. That's just me. But, what are you going to do? So, let's get that out. I will plug them back into the wings, and then we'll do some size comparison. I guess I'll talk a little bit about the articulation. All right, now they got those little pieces plugged back in. Articulation. So, and you can do a lot of cool stuff with this guy. I like that these arms, again, you can kind of orientate however you want these shoulder pads, which I think is a plus. So if you kind of want them pointing downwards and have, the spikes just being more aesthetically pleasing for a Decepticon, you can do that. I think it works out well. These little hip skirts, again, these would have been scabbards for drift and wing, but you can kind of position them however you like for Ratbat. Me personally, I kind of like them sitting a little high like that, just rotated and folded downwards. Again, I think it works for Ratbat. You have these pieces to get out of the way for posability. I don't think there's any ratchets. Now, if you want to move out, you kind of have to, I mean, with them like this, you're a little limited, but realistically, you're not going to need much more movement than that. Something that's really awesome here is just like I don't want to call them hidden paint apps, but you can see that's painted up there, and that's painted right there. So I do like that. MMC doesn't. They don't particularly skimp on paint apps, so it's really nothing I'm too terribly concerned about. I mean, he's painted all over in the right spots. He's not covered in paint, but it works. As you can see, that fell out. So just be mindful of that. And again, it may just be this copy, but just be a little mindful when you're handling it. Some stuff can fall out. It's Mastermind Creations after all. And of course, in Mastermind Creation fashion, you have a spot if you want to put a Decepticon logo there. You totally can. Yeah, double jointed knees. I'm sure he has all the same articulation as Aero Alpha, but no ratchets, which I think is interesting. It's not bad, but it's interesting. So there's that. And then of course, let's get a look at this head sculpt. I often tell everyone that nobody can beat Hasbro at a head sculpt, and I still stand by that fact on this guy. It's a nice looking head sculpt, but I feel like it falls short in some areas, personally. I like how the kind of like headpiece here sort of comes over the eyes, but you really can't see the eyes unless he's looking up, because that's him looking up. Other than that, dude's going to be kind of, I don't want to say blind, but he's definitely hiding from the sun, I guess, which I guess, goes with the whole Ratbat thing. But the head sculpt isn't awful. It's not Hasbro good, but it's I've seen worse. I've definitely seen worse. I don't want it to seem like it's bad by any means, but it's not particularly great. So put it that way. And for a quick size comparison, while I don't have the Ratbat, I do have the Serpentor. So, as you can see, big size difference. I know a lot of people are wanting them to do Serpentor out of him, but just kind of like what I was saying here with the head sculpt, like at least with the Ratbat head, you can see his eyes. You know what I mean? That, I think, goes a long way. So there's that. See how he scales with the Deluxe, which I think Ratbat should be, Voyager size. I mean, he was a Senator, and like the Senators always seemed like they would be kind of bigger bots. Here he is with Mastermind Creations Voss. I can't think of his not official name. And mine, while it hasn't broken, it's getting a little loose in some areas. Chest piece is one of them, but anyways, that's how he scales with one of their smaller figures. And here he is with probably the best thing that Mastermind Creations has put out since Spartan. Here he is with More Than Meets the Eye Megatron. So, and Megatron was one of their kind of bigger figures, I guess. Like, I wouldn't say he would... He wasn't Carnifex, right? He wasn't one of the $200 DJD guys either, Helix or Tesserus, but Megatron was one of their pricier ones. I think at like 110, 120. And I think this guy probably retailed around 80, 90. So you can see, like, I feel like it's good size for what you pay. And it's a convention exclusive on top of that. So there is that. If only MMC would make a Soundwave now to really, I guess, make this guy shine. You know what I mean? So... final thoughts, not terrible. I've always wanted to play around with the Aero Alpha / wing mold because in pictures I didn't feel like it looked great, and I couldn't really find any good angles in video reviews to where I liked it. And this, you can fold that down if you want. But like seeing it from all these different profiles in hand, I always thought these shoulder pads were too big. Maybe, and they may still be too big on drift. I don't know. I'd love to take a look at that one before I fully commit. But seeing kind of where they end up versus, the backs of them, I think maybe for wing, this wouldn't be a bad purchase, and I might consider it. I might still consider drift. But that said, like, it's a great looking figure. It's great that they were able to get this out. I feel like Mastermind Creations is a little more selective on what sees mass retail anymore. So, like this guy and Bulkhead were available at the TFCon DC show, which I heard they sold out like almost instantly. So it wasn't in great quantities, not like the blue weird wing repaint last year. I know there were a lot of those kind of still left over on Sunday, but overall pretty solid. If you can find one, I don't know if they're worth that $200 price tag. I know a lot of MMC fans are crazy about these exclusives, and I think if you want like the perfect Senator Ratbat, this might actually be it. As cool as that Takara one is, the Legends, the Generation Scourge repaint, it's neat, but it's not the perfect Senator Ratbat. It's just a kind of nice homage. So, with that being said, again, I want to send out a great thanks to my boy Megamus, Megatoyfan, for hooking me up to take a look at this. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment box. I'll do my best to answer them. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and check out Stasis Lock every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on this channel. And we appreciate you for watching that too. So until then, I'll see you guys in the next review.